Hello folks, we actually have a round 2 with our Jank Boys deck, which is good. We've rolled a 6, which is the usual, and our opponent has rolled a 10, or a 2. Fantastic. I guess we'll play then. Alright, well, we've shuffled our deck. Good 7. Alright, well this is the 4th one-land hand in a row that we've drawn tonight. So now you can't keep this, so we're going to mulligan it. Well, off to a rousing start, right guys? This is a slow hand as well, but we have a 4-drop, we have 3 land, a Thundering Giant. Yeah, I don't mind this so much. We have plenty of 2-drops in the deck that we can draw, so. I'm just going to explain a little bit about untap to our opponent. He said he's relatively new, so we'll take it just a little bit slow, but that's fine because, you know, we can all learn a little bit. And hopefully this hand is decent. Hopefully it's decent. I'm going to make this mountain dance in the meantime. Nothing quite like making a mountain dance, am I right? Hopefully our deck does well. I would certainly like that. I wish we would have seen that Geist of that Marsh Geist in game 1. Then I could have sided in Plummet. I definitely would have sided in Plummet had I known that it existed. But you know, it's fine. We're doing all right. Blah, 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 blah. Hopefully this game goes well. We've got a living totem. Or tell our opponent to rather take 7. I would just much rather have a good game than him mulliganing down to 5. Now, he doesn't know that our hand is mediocre, but you know what? Our hand is always mediocre, so if anything, it just makes us a better player. We learn how to play out of bad hands. Or who knows, maybe you guys just enjoy watching me get the crap kicked out of me. Which, if you're watching it for that, I mean, hey, that's one way to get your magic-related jollies, am I right? Oh, man. Could be. All right, let's go. Wow, Wayfire Sari. All right. Nope. Well, a decent 4-drop, though. One that I will most likely play before Living Totem. And at least it hasn't been like 1-drop, 2-drop, completely blow you out of the water. Man, that Rand's deck was so fast. Well, let's see what else we got. Oh, so our opponent is playing green as well. So there were 3 green players at the table. Man, that's interesting. Okay, so no turn 2 play from our opponent, which is decent. A Rummaging Goblin is certainly nice. It's going to let us trade these 5-drops for some land, which I wouldn't mind seeing. Oh, he forgot his draw steps. Oh my gosh. Our poor opponent is having the worst time navigating on tap today. No, it happens to the best of us. Maybe that's what it's attributing to the slow start. Wow. Our opponent's forest appears to be breakdancing. What are you trying to say to me, Forest? What are you trying to communicate to me? Alright, so our opponent does not have anything, which is fine. Land. Gargoyle Sentinel. Gargoyle Sentinel is fine. I don't mind playing that. I could also just rummage now, and if I get a land, play Shaman of Spring. I like that. We're going to discard our Thundering Giant. I think, well, actually, let's discard the Charging Rhino. We actually have the 2 mountains to play this if all we draw are mountains. It just seems like a smarter call. Land. Hey, perfect. Alright, that's exactly what we wanted there. Need to hit my land drops a little bit. Need to get this going. And we're going to draw a lot of extra cards this turn. We're going to draw 1 off of the Rummaging Goblin and then 1 off of our Shaman of Spring. And it's a Cone of Flame. Nice. Double nice. And you know what? We can just drop Living Totem, make this into a 3/3 and start beating in. That's fine too. Always good. Where were you in the first game that we played? I needed you. Needed you to do work, son. Nowhere to be found. Yeah, you weren't going to win us the second game, Cone of Flame. I don't blame that. Alright, so our opponent is playing Staff of the Wild Magus. Interesting choice. Would not have been my first choice. Well, you gain a life. That's good. Wonder why he's doing this. Is he playing like black, green, white, and then does he have like pride mates, like a ton of pride mates? I didn't even see that many pride mates to make this worth running. Although there's not like a sanguine bond in this deck, is there? And he's got 1 green up. I'm just gonna play my giant and just beat in for 1 billion this turn. Beat in for 7. I mean, the 1 life does negate our Rummaging Goblin's attack. Generally speaking, guys, if you're newer to draft, generally speaking, you don't play cards like this unless you have like an explicit plan for them. The only time I've ever seen life gain be really good in a draft deck was when M14 was a thing, and there was a card called Sanguine Bond that whenever you gained life, your opponent lost life. And so what you did was you played around with like the board state a little bit, but mostly it involved around you gaining a ton of life out of nowhere using a card called Congregate, and then you would just hit your opponent for like 24 at like just out of the blue. Yeah, you would just try and clutter the board as much as possible, and then just insta kill them with Congregate. And that was actually a legitimate strategy if you could get the 2 Sanguine Bonds, but generally speaking, Staff is not the way to go. Does look really cool, though. Looks really cool. Oh, that's really good. Alright, so he's got 5 up. Maybe our opponent is telegraphing our Flesh to Dust. If our opponent is telegraphing Flesh to Dust, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play out Living Totem. Put a +1/+1 counter on my Shaman pre-combat. Because I do have things in my deck. It just seems to be a bad draw. It does happen. I mean, I do know it does happen. I want to ask him about Staff because honestly, I'm so curious as to what this has to do in his deck. But back to the issue at hand. The reason I'm putting the counter on Shaman instead of Thundering Giant is if he has that Flesh to Dust, I don't want him just Flesh to Dusting my Thundering Giant with a +1/+1 counter on it, and then he basically just negates these 2 cards. In drafting, for those of you that are relatively new to drafting, there's this idea of diversifying your threats. And when you're in a position like I am right now where you don't necessarily need the 4/3 and you've got removal in your hand and your opponent has nothing on the board and they're telegraphing some sort of kill spell. Okay, so he's got Wall of Limbs. That's interesting. That's going deep. It's going real deep. But back to what I was saying, diversifying my threats is the best move here, because now I'm going to swing in for 8, and even if he does have the Flesh to Dust to hit the Giant, I'm not essentially getting 2 for 1, and I still have a 3/3 left over, and my 1/1 and a 2/3, as opposed to just having two guys with 2 toughness, or 2 power, I should say, and then a Rummaging Goblin. Our opponent goes to 6. So our opponent does not have Flesh to Dust. Interesting. Does he just not have anything? Nothing on turn 5? Huh. It's a really bad draw. I don't even think Obnixilis does it. What is this? 6 mana? Obnixilis? Soul of Innistrad. That's a card. Response. I'm sacking Evolving Wilds and getting a forest. Why? Wait. Why 8? Oh, because he gained... No, he didn't. He didn't do that. Alright, forest. Come to play, my beautiful land. Alright, so our opponent has a 6/6 with Death Touch. That seems really good. Although we can hit him in the face for 3. Sacked our Evolving Wilds. We got our land back. Hopefully Cone of Flame will be... I think closing Cone of Flame... Realistically, he blocks the 4. He takes 3, 5, 6. Yeah, he just dies. We just Alpha Strike him to death. We don't even need to show him Cone of Flame. There's just no reason to show him Cone of Flame. 7, 8, 10. He blocks 4 of it, goes to 6. Yeah, no matter how he blocks this, he's dead. And this is why we diversify our threats, because if this wasn't the case, he would be going to 1. Although we would still kill him with Cone of Flame. But now we don't need to show him Cone of Flame. If this was a major tournament, that's kind of important, not showing your opponent what you've got. Yep. And then you just take 6 and die. Yep. So that's game. Alright. So our opponent has showed us what? A Staff of the Wild Magus and a Soul of Innistrad. Well, the Soul is definitely scary as crap. The Soul is super scary. What is this? Oh, this is like the whole chat bar. I didn't even know we could do that. That's awesome. Well, first things first, let's draw our 7. 3 Heat Rays and a Shaman of Spring. That seems fine. I don't know why this block continues to be here with me. Alright, so far so good. So, I mean, we've got 3 really good removal spells. We've got a Shaman of Spring to help draw us into stuff. I mean, this isn't a terrible hand. This cube needs to go to our opponent. There it is. Hey, we did it. Well, I'm going to tell him we're going to keep our hand. Oh. Man, oh man. I think I might need a brief break from M15. I know you guys really like it, and I like doing it for you guys. You guys certainly have been enjoying it. But I might need a break from it. I've done it like 15 times now. 15 drafts is pretty good, I think. Although I have no idea how many times the pros drafted it, probably in the hundreds. I'll tell you what, I drafted Theros in the hundreds. Keyray would be so good if you could just hit your opponent. Oh, I'm going to lead off with a forest of my own, sir. How do you like them apples? Matched your forest with a forest. Yeah, dingus. Regardless of what we draw, our second land is going to be this mountain. On the off chance that we do draw it, and we can hit our turn 3 Krenko. Man, oh man. No, let's draw our land. Maybe it's a mountain. It's not a mountain. We're still going to run out of mountain. And then if we absolutely need to, we've got our turn 3 Rummaging Goblin. I like Rummaging Goblin, man. You get a lot of good value out of him. A lot of people don't like this little guy, but he does work for you. He's not swole. He's a little skinny. Needs to hit that protein shake, but he does work for you, man. He does. Puts his little tiny goblin heart into everything he does, man. And you got to appreciate that, don't you? Look at that. Look at him rummage. He barely even knows what half that crap is, but he's still rummaging for you. Mountain. Hey, perfect. All right. So it's going to go Krenko, and then we're going to run out our Shaman, and then probably run out our Rummager. There's nothing I really want to discard. At this point, land and creatures are both really good for me, so we can afford to wait a couple turns on Rummager. Oh, yes. It'll be interesting to see what our opponent plays. Sorry, folks. Sorry about that. I left you for a couple seconds to grab some water. I do love myself a water. Alright, so Genesis Hydra does what? Reveal top X cards in my library. You may put non-land permanent with converted mana cost. Alright, so it's a 2/2, and then if you can look at the top 2 cards, and if it's something with 2 or less, you can put on the battlefield. Interesting. It's kind of a cool card design, though, isn't it? This is really cool. Looks like a plant, though. Oh, it is a plant. Plant Hydra. Huh. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K. Well, you can't put that. Well, the forest doesn't do anything, and it's a 2/2, so. And then top 1 card probably isn't a 2-mana card. I mean, the only 2 cards we saw from his deck were a 3-drop and a 6-drop. Yeah, I don't think this does much. At least not in this situation. It seems odd to drop it now on turn 4. And you can't play Sound and Blood either. We just got to tell him, too, these actually don't die. These actually just get put back in his library and then shuffled. Oh, he knows that. He just put him into the library, or the graveyard to show us what was what. Well, that makes sense. Alright, well, we're just going to run out our second forest. There's really no need to run out a third mountain. Although there's really no need to run out a second forest. I like being symmetry. Symmetry. I like being symmetric, is what I'm trying to say. I would also love to speak frickin' English. We're going to swing for 2. Got to get aggressive here. Eventually this will not be 19, I think. There we go. We hit it. Perfect. And Shaman of Spring is going to come into play, give us a little extra card advantage. And I don't even have to trade it. Oh, perfect. Living Totem. Living Totem plus Krenko's Enforcer makes me a happy camper. All the other girls in the less in peace. Let's not make it harder than it has to be. Whoa, just saying, girls chase boys who chase girls. Alright, let's see what our opponent's got. Now that he's got a Genesis Hydra. I mean, Genesis Hydra does block Shaman of Spring. Maybe he has like a super aggressive deck and was just hoping to get a bunch of 2-drops. That could be it. I mean, there are some good 2-drops in green and black in this format. A lot of good, like 1 and 2 drops, right? There's Typhoid Rats. There's Elvish Mystic. There's Child of Night, Runeclaw Bear. Those are the common ones that I can think of. Child of Night, Typhoid Rats, Elvish Mystic, Runeclaw Bear, Satyr Wayfinder. You don't know what else. Huh. Alright, so I had to explain a little bit about the combat, the weird way that combat works. Because it is a little weird. I am not scared if he gets to Soul of Innistrad Mana, though. Because we have Heat Ray. I am going to do this, and I'm going to bluff that we have got Gather Courage. Living Totem, Totems, Totems! To turn Krenko's Enforcer into a 3/3. I mean, he definitely has Flesh to Dust mana again. But this isn't a time to diversify our threats. This is a time to make a 3/3 with Intimidate that he has to answer or die to. Living Totem blocks Genesis Hydra pretty hard. That'd be a sweet fight, man. Yep, 13, and then we're done. We have Gather Courage. As in, you just have to gather your courage and attack me to know that I don't have a combat trick. And he didn't have Flesh to Dust either, man. So he just said, maybe he just doesn't have any turn 5s? Still, this bugs me. What other 2-drops are there that you're tutoring for? 2 or less. Cruel Sadist. Cruel Sadist is a rare, but it's definitely a thing. Yeah, I got nothing else. That's all I got. I mean, if you waited till turn 5 to play this, that'd be sweet. Like a turn 5 3/3, that's not too terrible in draft. But the potential to play other stuff? This would be good if you could play lands. Oh, that'd be ridiculous. You just play all the lands in your deck. Well, we have a mountain. That's good. I'm just going to bring in all of our beats here. Actually, I'm just going to bring in these 2. I don't need to trade Genesis Hydra for Shaman of Spring anytime soon. Plus, she's going to block Soul of Innistrad eventually. And if he blocks, maybe he's got a combat trick. What is happening? Oh, Court of Calling for a 4-drop. Interesting. Certainly very interesting. I like this art. I mean, the new art is cool, but look at that giant bird, man. Look at him go. I mean, if it's a particularly threatening 4-drop, I'm just going to kill it. Look at that friggin' bird. Look at him go, man. He doesn't care about anything. He's like, "Quack! What you gonna do about it? Polly want your face. Quack!" It's my best crazy parrot impersonation. After chord resolves, but before blocks. And we got to kill that, obviously. And we haven't played our land yet this turn, and I'm actually going to run out my goblin. Killing the species with Heat Ray is just a really smart idea. It lets us get our, lets us just really put the pressure on him, attacking-wise. And now that we've got Rummaging Goblin, any land that we have is essentially going to be a free draw for us. We got 2 more Heat Rays, and the reason that I didn't want to, I wanted to play out 1 more land. A, I want to get Goblin out, and B, I want to have exactly enough to kill Soul of Innistrad if it's Soul of Innistrad ever hits the board. So we need 7 mana for that, so I have to hit exactly 7. I think we're putting the bricks to him pretty hard. Although now he does get Genesis Hydra for 4, which is really nice. Yep. I think this one is, even if you have, well, Genesis Hydra is his best bet. Because he wants to play Genesis Hydra as a 4/4, and then that way, like he's gonna hopefully get a bunch of stuff, and can clutter the board and sort of hold off. Because I mean, right now it's just like an onslaught of stuff. It does make me wonder why he played... I still want to know why he played Hydra in the beginning. These are questions that I have so many of them. Hydra is a powerful card, though. Well, let's find out what happens here. I feel like this would be a really fun card to play with in draft. Yep, there is a Typhoid Rats! I knew there was a reason he had to be playing him as a 2/2. Well, that's part of the question that's answered. What happened to Typhoid Rats? I don't know. It's probably back in your deck. So here's the thing, guys. If he doesn't get that was the only permanent that he snagged that was 4 or under, which means I'm going to kill Typhoid Rats, kill this, and then kill him. Because we've got 3, 5, 7, exactly 8 points of damage. I have to ask if he pulled any of the permanents from Hydra just to be sure. You don't want to just run us headlong into death, if I can avoid it. Anyway. Oh, Heat Ray. I do so love you. You are a powerful card. Well, let's draw our cards and wait to see what he says. Generator Servant's not a bad draw. Just Staff. You know you can put Staff into play. Actually, Staff would change the entire math of this game. Well, I think I'm still just going to burn Typhoid Rats and then burn Genesis Hydra, and then he has to answer all my guys, right? That seems decent. Because if it's the staff that has black stuff, I'm sorry, if it's like the swamp staff, I don't know what it is, what it's called, but this would put him to 9, and then he would go to 1. You put a non-land permanent card. Oh, it's a non-land permanent. Oh, you only get 1? You don't even get all of them? Oh, well, this card's not that cool then. I mean, it's still cool, but I thought that was way better than it actually is. Well, let's kill the rats. Rat is dead. And then let's kill the Hydra. Hail Hydrate. And then I think that's going to be game. We swing 8, right? Swings for 8. I think that's going to be the game, folks. And it is. Well, and a huge thank you to Gman314 for playing with us. Man, it was a lot of fun. Hopefully you stick with Untap. It is a lot of you get a lot of good use out of your tapped out and your untap accounts. At least I know I certainly have, and hopefully you stick with it. You've been a pleasure to play with as always. Folks, thank you again for joining us. I really do appreciate it. I know there are not as many drafting options out there as there once was, but I appreciate that despite the plethora of things that you can find online, that you chose to spend your time here with me on Draft Radio. As always, folks, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, it's not going to have to be in any set order. You can do it however you would like to do it. But most importantly, just make sure to give us some feedback. I enjoy it. Lets you guys get a little bit of voice and lets me make our YouTube channel just a little bit better for everybody. And let's be honest, don't we all win in that case? Well, folks, thank you so much again once for joining us. I am Kyle Ott for Draft Radio, signing off.